Hello, welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the Tier 1 podcast. My name is Joe. That is Ronaldo. How you doing, Ronaldo?
I'm doing all right. You bellowed that, didn't you?
I really got it out. No Jay today.
No Jay.
Unfortunately, so I'm taking his place.
It's the long hair special.
It's the long hair special. Couple of long haired guys just doing a.
I'm not going to touch my hair
podcast.
like that.
Touch it. Flick one out.
A lot of flick away like that on camera.
Okay.
Only at home.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
Behind closed
we're
doors.
joined by Sam Pilger today, journalist, inside source, Manchester United fan as well. Always great to chat to Sam. He's been on the show before. First time I'm speaking with him. You spoke to him before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've spoken to him before.
Right, Sam, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Joe. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, well, I know you're all right. I've already asked you.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I'm going to start off by asking Sam a question.
Good.
First question I'm going to ask you, Sam, is who do you think will be United's next manager? Or maybe would you actually like to see as United's next manager?
Oh, geez, good question. It's a bit depressing, really, because I don't think there's a shining white knight in armour ready to ride to United's rescue. I mean, I think, as I'm led to believe, Pochettino is the leading candidate, but I think that could be good. But I mean, I think his experience at PSG, winning anything there is obviously you're expected to. It's not much. The only thing to win there of note is the Champions League. If he does that, well, PSG probably want him to stay rather than come to United. I think he is the leading candidate. I did ask, speaking to United recently, I said, is there any shock names? It seems to be him and the Ajax manager are the two names that seem to be playing off each other. I said, is there a shock name? And was told, well, no, it's the logical names. So take that look into that what you want. I did ask about. I was sort of curious about Rangnick. I know Rangnick said he wanted that role when he was asked. I've been led to believe by United, Rangnick, it's very much short term, the interim. Of course, things can change if he starts winning every game, but that doesn't look likely at the moment. He is very much an interim thing. He said at the start, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in staying on as manager if I can." United sort of dismissed that. They do see him as very much interim. Talks are going on at the moment with candidates. So that's a long-winded way to say, I don't know. I hope it would be somebody better with more about them than Pochettino, but I would have to say it probably will be Pochettino. He wants to come back to the Premier League. He wanted to come back in November, but PSG wouldn't allow that to happen in the middle of the season. So I think that Pochettino is the most likely, but it doesn't fill me with excitement, shall we say.
Yeah, it's not one where you can say he's definitely right and here's why. There's still a lot of potential.
Echo all the same things.
He
said, I'm not a massive Pochettino fan, if I'm honest. I don't think he's the answer personally.
It's
but
hard
if he
to be
comes,
there,
I'll
because
back
he
him.
doesn't have that proven track record, does he? That's the problem with Pochettino. You're sort of still hoping for potential, even though he's managing the Premier League for such a long time. Moving on from managers a little bit then, onto this midfield discussion, which is, I mean, as it does when you're watching Man United, it takes up a lot of my thinking, this whole midfield thing, because it's the one thing you can't get away from. They link the attacks, they link the defence. Ralf Rangnick basically admitted that we've got flaws in that area. In an article you wrote, you quoted Ralf saying, it doesn't help that there's a profile missing. Basically saying there's a type of player that we don't have, he said after the Wolves game. What do you think that profile is? And do you think United will try and find that profile and fit it into the team in January or maybe in the summer?
Well, I think the profile is a classic holding midfielder, a pivot that screens the defence, the back four. United don't have that really. I mean, if you're looking at the stable, I think Matic at his very best at Chelsea, maybe in his first season or so with United, was that player. He's not anymore. I think he was in decline a year or two ago. I think when United came back from lockdown in that period, he really played very well then. Between sort of April, May, June, July, but he hasn't since then. He's clearly lost mobility and pace. McTominay isn't a holding midfielder. It is clear about that. I mean, he's got goals in him. He's box to box. There's doubts about his absolute quality, but he's certainly not a top quality holding midfielder. And I suppose the best at the club is Fred. we can argue about Fred. I think he's not an elite player. He can have very good games. So that is the profile that's missing, and I think Rangnick probably realises that quite quickly. I mean, Pogba and Van der Beek can play in that role, but clearly they're not holding midfielders. He's recognised that, but he's got to work with the players he has. So, Solskjaer wanted a holding midfielder in the summer. I suppose with all the excitement of Sancho, Varane and Ronaldo, we tended to forget that and think, not every club is, City won the title the year before without a striker. Squads don't need to be perfect to win titles, which is absolutely true. But, United haven't been able to override that this season, and it's a glaring error where there's weakness, where there's just not enough control, not enough composure in central midfield.
I feel like that like focal point at City, it's easier to overcome a lack in that area than it is a midfield, like as we said before.
Yeah, I feel like it's such an important, because United at the moment, it's basically describe it as ring donut FC.
Well, just a whole big hole in the middle.
Just a big hole in the middle, innit?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's hard to remember a team that won the league without having a good midfield. You can do it without having a world-class striker or maybe a world-class goalie or fullbacks, but generally you need at least one world-class player.
It's the engine room, innit? It's important.
Yeah, it is. Let's do a little bit of a quick fire then. So obviously United have been linked with loads of names, as we always are. So I want to hear whether, I'm going to throw some names at you. I want to hear whether you think we're interested and whether you actually think that this signing could happen. So let's start Borussia Mönchengladbach, Dennis Zakaria. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's, as far as I've been led to believe, United aren't interested in him. I think that's a bit of agent talk. There's talk he might be available for 7 million, maybe, which is cheap in this market, but I haven't heard anything that will happen there.
Great. Okay, next up, Amadou Haidara, RB Leipzig.
I think there's the natural link there is with Leipzig and the Red Bull Football Group is that he's a player that Rangnick would know. That is an easy link. I've been told that that's not the case, that United aren't interested. At this stage, things can change, but that's my information, that United aren't interested in Haidara.
Okay, next up then, Aston Villa's John McGinn, linked after the game the other day. Is that a coincidence?
Always, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, I would have to say I've not heard anything about that, but James Ducker in the Daily Telegraph has led with that story. That seems to be his, and James is well sourced and knows his stuff. So I would say that's got to have some foundation to it. But again, I don't know. Is McGinn a good player? Is that the absolute quality United will be looking for? I'm not sure. I don't think that would happen in January, and it seems a bit of an uninspiring signing, I've got to be honest. But if James Ducker says something in that, I would say it possibly is.
Probably is. Okay, moving on to the last two, the big boys, Jude Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham, yeah. I mean, I think United. Well, we know that United rolled out the red carpet, and rather embarrassingly, he said no thanks. Before when he was at Birmingham, before he went to Borussia Dortmund, United brought in Sir Alex Ferguson, Eric Cantona, and were desperate for him to join, which seemed a bit over the top for a 16-year-old. But as we've seen how well he's done it in Germany, then clearly they knew what they were doing. I think to go all out for him and for him to wander off to Germany was a bit embarrassing. That doesn't mean to say, like Sancho, he can't come back. I think Bellingham will come back to the Premier League. I think it's probably earlier in his development, really. I think, like Sancho, he'll probably stay out in Germany longer. I think it's doubtful for this summer. And also, if you're putting a lot, what is he now, 18 or so? That's you're asking a lot of an 18-year-old to come back and reinvent United's midfield. But yeah, I think when he comes back, United will certainly be in for him. Yes.
Yeah, I do agree with him, because when Bellingham at Dortmund and the way that they're kind of set up in their business model, if they lose Haaland in the summer, they're not really going to let two young stars go in the same window. That's not what they do.
And finally, then, quick fire. Declan Rice, always linked with pretty much everyone in the Premier League who could do with a midfielder.
Yeah, United are certainly interested in him. There's real interest there. Clearly won't happen in January, as we're rivals for top 4 position, which is sad to say, but true. I think West Ham, he's contract until 2024. So I suppose in a year's time, he'll only have a year left in his contract. If they were going to sell for big money, I suppose with 2 years to go, they're not under immediate pressure because they've still got 2 years on the contract. But valuation is talked of 100 million. Would United sanction 100 million for Declan Rice? I'm not sure. That's a lot of money. There's got to be more value in the market for a midfielder that's less than half that price. There's as you call them, the big boys. I think Bellingham and Rice are there. As I was led to believe, United won't be buying a midfielder in January, maybe loaning one, because unless their summer targets become available now, which is very rare, can happen. Bruno Fernandes was a summer target they brought forward by 6 months, but I can't see Bellingham or Rice here in January, and summer will be tough too.
I wanted to go, we'll get all of them.
Exactly.
You mentioned about a possible loan move there in January. Do you have any sort of idea on who that could be, or what the position would be? Would that be a midfielder if we are to get someone?
I think, as I understand it, would possibly be a midfielder. United naturally, obviously United don't say, right, we're going to buy 4 players and so on, but there is an ambition at the start of a window, as I'm led to believe. There isn't much. I mean, the squad is big enough and good enough not to need additions. I mean, I suppose midfield is one area, but I've been told that if it's a midfielder, it'd be a loan. But in terms of a name, I don't know specific names, but it's more likely to be a loan.
Let's hope it's get a name there,
Yeah, no.
But coming back to the squad in question, there's been rumours of unrest and problems behind the scenes at United. It's been hinted at by Luke Shaw, Rangnick, Ronaldo in a recent interview. Do you actually think there's a serious attitude problem at Manchester United at the moment?
I don't know. I think if a team's doing well, the dressing room is united and going in this right direction. If a team is 7th and not doing so well, there's problems in the dressing room. I think it's an obvious thing. I think there are players who want to leave, and that doesn't help the mood. But is that not the case with every team? I think obviously Jesse Lingard wants to leave. I've been told that won't happen in January. But he's like, he would almost certainly go in the summer. Yeah, he will go in the summer, but not in January. Jesse wants to leave. There's Paul Pogba. There's a contract offer there. We'll wait and see. Anthony Martial does want to leave. So there's players who want to leave. That obviously that doesn't help. Juan Mata is another player, but he's got 6 months on his contract. He's not a high-profile player now. I think. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think it was more of a generational thing, but clearly in the last 6 months, he's been dealing with young United players. And so, United can't dodge that too much. It was a bit pointed. They want to sort of spread the blame. Well, it's all young players, but clearly Ronaldo hasn't been overly impressed with the attitude of some United young players, and I think they should sit up and listen to that. But I don't think it's toxic. I don't think it's irreparable. It's just a team in 7th. And obviously, if players aren't playing, they want to leave. They're not happy, and there are a lot of players. It's a big squad that aren't playing. I think probably one major issue is the captaincy. I have my doubts about Harry Maguire as a player and a captain. I think handing it to Bruno and then Ronaldo was, Ronaldo will be there for 6 more months or 18 more months, who knows? But I think if I remember Maguire after the Liverpool game talking about, I'm here because I have to be, there was lacked so much leadership. He doesn't look captain with senior material, and actually maybe the captaincy is hurting his own performances. Maybe like cricket captains, they start batting a lot better when you take the captaincy away from him. Maybe he'll be a better player without the captaincy. I don't know, but I'm not saying Harry Maguire's a problem in the dressing room, but I think that is one issue more on pitch that needs to be addressed.
So yeah, you've sort of mentioned it there, but so do you think it is just a product of bad performances and bad results? Therefore, all the negative sides of being a footballer and contract issues and all these things just come to the fore, or do you think it's more, maybe more it's sort of insidious than that, where there's people purposely trying to leak things to the press, there's people purposely trying to cause unrest? Because one of the few things that Ole was credited for by pretty much everyone was his ability to at least keep the facade of we're all mates, always just their friend in the dressing room, we all get along great, it's a great bunch of lads. You hear these talk now of, this is a very unlikable team, or, all these problems. Do you think Ole deserves a bit more credit for how he handled them, or do you think it is literally just we're losing games, therefore the people who are upset are now speaking out a bit more about it? Because it seems like it's the dominant focus of United at the moment is, look how much everyone hates it here. When really, 6 months ago, Europa League final, obviously we lost that, but it looked like things were heading in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there is a serious problem there. I mean, I think Solskjaer was credited with that, but then he was also criticised for that, being everybody's mate. And was he hard enough? And was he too sentimental? I don't think there's a major problem there. I think, you have to find a narrative. If United aren't doing well, you have to look for reasons. And there's a toxic dressing room. I don't think there is. And, talking about the team as unlikable, I know he's not playing particularly well now, but has there been a more likeable player than Marcus Rashford in United's history, modern history, with what he's achieved off the pitch and on the pitch? So, I think there are a few unlikable characters, but then are there not? With every team, and it's so I think you always need a reason. You can't just say they're playing badly because they're unmotivated. And that seemed to be what Luke Shaw did say, which I thought was a pretty shocking thing for a Manchester United player to say after the Wolves game. A lot of players are lacking motivation, but maybe we haven't had the new manager bounce from Rangnick. One of the things, maybe that doesn't help, where a manager is leaving in May. So how desperate are you to impress him? But no, I think the dressing room on the whole is okay.
Yeah, and that thing of players being unlikable, that was me sort of referencing what people say on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Marcus Rashford, there hasn't been a much more likable player ever.
You say you just don't like him?
No, I do. I like him. I like most of them.
No, but on Rangnick, you did kind of touch on him towards the end of what you just said. Do you think there are any growing concerns over his long-term role, judging by some of the kind of abject performances we've seen so far during his tenure?
Well, I mean, as United said to me, which is a fair point, he's only lost one game. I mean, I know there's been poor performances against Villa and Newcastle. Wolves was a particularly bad performance. I was there at Old Trafford, and I mean, that was spectacularly bad. One of the worst performances I've witnessed in all my years of following or reporting on United. So that was a concern. United have only lost once and only 1-0, but the new manager bounce hasn't really happened, has it? And that has been a concern. I think there was probably fantasies of Thomas Tuchel and what he did at Chelsea. Obviously, took them to the Champions League, and the fact that Tuchel was a protege of Rangnick, and they're both German, and United still in the Champions League, and obviously no one thought United would start launching a challenge for the title. It's probably too late, but Champions League is a knockout. It could still happen. United don't play Atletico Madrid for another month or so, and the second leg's at Old Trafford not for 2 months. So who knows what form they could be in then. But yeah, it has been slightly underwhelming, hasn't it? The start of the Rangnick era. He's gone from both things are true, a sort of godfather of German coaching and this great professor type, to somebody who, the fact is, I think has managed 88 games in the last 10 years, because of course in the last 10 years he hasn't done actual much management. It's been a sporting director or a coach or overseeing clubs. So we're still in the early stages, aren't we? Not quite sure what to make of Rangnick. It's not been overly impressive though, has it? No.
Yeah, you mentioned there about the games. That's one of the reasons he struggled to get his visa and his work permit, wasn't it? Because he actually hadn't managed many games in the last 2 years or whatever it was. On Rangnick then, I mean, it almost feels like a sort of ludicrous question, but again, you see stuff on social media, you see about the pressure, you hear about the players talking, like you said, Luke Shaw, about motivation and energy and these sorts of fundamental things that you think, that they should have this no matter what. Do you think he's definitely safe till the end of the season? Or could you see a scenario where, let's say Poch becomes available or Ten Hag becomes available, where he doesn't even make it, that far? Because obviously, like you said, they only lost one game, but no one sat here going, it's been great under Rangnick.
No, you're right. I mean, from United's perspective, my understanding is they look, the COVID stop and start, losing the Brentford and Brighton game, that hasn't helped. The fact that he came in over Christmas, where it's such a busy time. So either they weren't training because they couldn't, because the training ground was shut down, they weren't playing, or the games were coming thick and fast. I don't think has helped his start. I feel that he will. I think now he's got a bit more momentum. There's some space between games. I think hopefully we'll be able to see a bit more what he can do. I thought it was slightly alarming though that he said, I don't know if he said he was surprised, but he talked about how good the lower teams in the Premier League could be. Burnley, Norwich, that was like, this is the Premier League, really? Come on. He was like, these teams in Germany would be top 10 teams and they wouldn't be near the bottom. And I was thinking, as somebody who has such a broad brush idea of football teams and football clubs and leagues, and so experienced, he's in his early 60s, has that really come as a surprise that, that Norwich and Burnley, the cliche, there's no easy games. There are no easy games in the Premier League, especially for United at the moment. Has that come as a shock? That slightly worried me, thinking, he should have known that before he started. Or maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe he was just emphasising that. But I think it was like, that's come as a bit of a surprise. I mean, United don't play a top team until City in March. And that was meant to be a great period to bed in, but he's learning that's not the case. No, I would be shocked. I mean, especially with his consultancy role, and Rangnick is helping to choose the new manager and helping with that process. I mean, he would have to be absolutely, dreadful, but, come March or April, not to make it. No, I see him there until May, until the end. Yeah.
Yes. And all things are completely amazing or great at United.
I want to be positive, Ronaldo.
Listen, I'm trying to be I'm trying to end it a little bit more positively.
Go on.
Who knows? You might not answer it positively.
Oh no.
But the question I did want to ask you is, do you think there's a way United can win some silverware this season?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously,
yes.
it's in the FA Cup and the Champions League. Look, I mean, we forget. United started the season. We genuinely thought United finished second, and they've added arguably one of the world's best central defenders, one of the best up-and-coming players in Sancho, and arguably the greatest player to ever play towards the end of his career. I mean, those were three incredible signings to add to a team that had finished runners-up. So clearly the title challenge has eluded United, but in terms of silverware, yeah, it's a cup, isn't it? United have got Middlesbrough in the next round at home of the FA Cup, win that as the fifth round. Yeah, United could win the FA Cup, and they could win, they could win the Champions League. I know that sounds probably ridiculous, but if you look on paper, if you look at the squad and you look at the team United could put out and what those players are capable of, then this is a cup competition. Clearly, they're not good enough to win a league over 38 games, but a knockout round where you can win and get a bit of momentum, then yes, I think it's possible. If you think Varane has come back and offered something, he hasn't had a run. You think that Sancho, he has been pretty appalling of late, but they're such a great player. And of course, he's adjusting from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. If he hits a spell, if Marcus, lots of ifs, but genuine, these are potentially, people, world-class players, flirting with world-class status, Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho. If they all come good attacking-wise, Bruno Fernandes, De Gea has been fantastic again this season. That's one positive thing. Unfortunately, he's had to make a lot of saves, but, he's back amongst one of the world's best goalkeepers, and he was a liability for a while. So in a knockout thing, two legs for the Champions League and in the FA Cup, I think United should be confident of going far and winning something. And I do look back to the Europa League final, and I know it's just, I think the confidence that would have given that squad of players, a lot of players who haven't won things, what has, Luke Shaw won, what has Harry Maguire won, what have a lot of players won. The Europa League, it was so deflating because, it was such heavy favourites. I think the belief that would have given them winning a trophy would have fed into the season. Instead, losing it like United did on penalties after 10 penalties, it was so deflating. And it sort of branded Solskjaer as somebody, he's not a winner. He can't get the job done. And I think that fed into the season. But I think, hopefully the opposite can happen this season. United can win a trophy and feed into next season. Because, a lot of these players have never won anything at Old Trafford.
Yeah, and also always got Ronaldo. That Ronaldo
what,
factor. I think not you, Cristiano Ronaldo. In my head, I think Cristiano Ronaldo thinks the league's done. That's game over. No chance there. I think he thinks if I score in every single one of these next 6 games or whatever, I can win or 7 games. I can win
that's generally the way that it's gone for United this season in
terms
of we don't keep clean sheets. We've got to score at least if we want to win games.
Yeah, it's a shame, but like I said, it's possible.
Well, look how he's come. Look how he's come alive in the Champions League. There's no coincidence. It's incredible what he's done for United there. United would not be still in competition without him. So, that's his tournament. He wants to win it again. He's running out of chances. So, And, back to Madrid as well. Obviously, Atletico Madrid, that he'll be up for that. So, there are some things to look forward to.
And he's terrorised him a few times.
He's got a good record against
him. Right, thank you very much, Sam, for joining us. Make sure you check out Sam. Check out in Forbes, 442, The Athletic, and other places as well. Check him out on Twitter, @SamPilger. Thank you very much for coming on, Sam.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. You know what? I'm glad that ended on a bit of positivity. We can win a trophy this season.
We are. Basically, you said we're winning the treble, and that's not even possible.
No, the treble. Yeah, we still win the league.
Oh, yeah, we can still win the league.
Yeah,
we are winning the treble.
Yeah, we win the FA Cup and win the
Basically what you
Champions
said.
League. Unfortunately, doesn't look like there's going to be much coming in January. Maybe a loan, he was saying.
Yeah, didn't have a name, but usually can you get a great player in on loan? I know Thingy got in, especially in Jan. Chelsea got Sal Niguez in loan.
Yeah, they
He's
did.
not really lit the house on fire there, but he had a great performance against Tottenham recently.
Kovacic was on loan originally as well. So, potential.
There's people out there, but realistically, for a player to come and to not be a lateral move at United and to make a significant difference, is it really going to be a loanee unless it's from a really big club?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? But hopefully, we'll find out, and hopefully we can turn that into some wins and some performances.
Yep.
Rangnick's safe. Everyone's safe. Everyone's doing well. Don't worry about all the negativity. Sam's just made me feel a bit better, to be honest. He's made me feel good. It made you feel better?
He made me feel very positive indeed. We win in the treble.
Winning the treble. Right, thank you very much for joining us. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Click on that bell notification as well so you know exactly when we go live, when a new video comes out. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you for letting me take the place of Jay today. Have I done all right?
Yeah, you did great, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll see you in a bit.